would you prefer to sign Bregman or trade for Ketel Marte? Ketel Marte, not somebody we have talked about yet, Joe, with the Mets. A little bit on the older side when you factor in trading here. Marte, I know he's 32 right now. He just turned 32, so he'll have his age 32 next season. He's been on a 6-year deal. He's actually under contract until at least 2030, but he has a player option in 2031. So for a 32-year-old, listen, Marte is good enough that they probably can move him. I mean, this is somebody that had an 893 OPS last year and a 932 before that. But there's a little bit of that. I don't want to call it the Cano feeling with this because it just feels disrespectful. But man, like, I don't know if you're going to want to pay in that contract from 2029 to 2031. Am I being really picky here, Joe? You could tell me if I'm being ridiculous.
Yeah. Connor, I would say there is probably some appetite that the Mets can still take on some length in contracts. Marte is the best second baseman in baseball. So
he's amazing.
If you are trying to win right now, going and getting Ketel Marte is going to significantly increase your chances of doing so. I wouldn't go as far, and I know you weren't either, to compare it to Robinson.
It's not apples to apples at all. Yeah.
He was clearly on the downside of his career. But how many guys do you want tied in through 2030 into 2031? As far as a package, like, that doesn't feel incredibly far off in my eyes. Like, maybe there's a couple substitutions you make, but a guy like Jet Williams would fit wonderfully in Arizona. Brandon Sproat hops right in their rotation, and then they get another infielder like Vientos or Mauricio. Because I think ultimately this contract, if Arizona does decide to move Marte, which, of course, their GM nicely said at the GM meetings, highly unlikely. We love Ketel Marte. He's not going anywhere. But if they were to move him, it's by no means a salary dump, but it's kind of getting out of a contract that they wouldn't maybe hate to get out of, because there was some like weird stuff too in 2025. Like, I think there was like a robbery at his house and he was away for a while. Like, just some kind of like weird things have transpired with Marte over the last couple of years. But for me, I hate to ride the fence because I try not to do that. But he's a guy that, boy, I'd be ecstatic to get a Ketel Marte jersey and wear it to Citi Field this year and watch him be fantastic for the Mets. But I really don't know if I want him here for that long of a period.
Right. So here's my take on it. I think, say the Mets did this trade for him tomorrow. We would record the podcast and we would be like, God, we can't wait to watch Ketel Marte with the Mets this year. I mean, you're talking about somebody that, once again, can play in the middle of the infield and give you, we'll call it 28 to 32 home runs next year. Hit not far off from 300, get on base at a 37% clip, like all these things that are just the dream. The problem is, the reality is, as well, that's not what it's all about. Why, like you said, Joe, it's not a salary dump. So I think the combo would be like, you'd love Marte if it was just, hey, we're just taking on the contract because we're the Mets and we don't care about money and we're going to be paying a ton of 36-year-olds one day and we'll just pay the money then and replenish the team then. Who cares? But yeah, if you're trading two notable pieces in Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat, I would be very surprised if Jet Williams has the career that Ketel Marte has, but you're still weighing the youth movement to that. So that's a complex one, especially the fact is it seems like he's probably one of the biggest names out there this offseason that we know of so far, if they're really willing to listen to him. And if you're the Diamondbacks, you probably should be willing to listen to him because maybe you're selling high while you can, right? You're literally selling high while you can. Marte probably has 2 elite years left, but then you're also getting out of 3 years where you wouldn't want to be paying that contract, and you got a lot of young talent for him in exchange. So I actually think this is one of the most interesting questions we've gotten on the mailbag for a really long time, because I'm with you, Joe. I'm actually struggling to answer it. If the goal is to win a World Series this year by any means necessary, then yes, Ketel Marte fits the bill. But if the goal is to also be somewhat responsible, lean into a youth movement, which Jet Williams is a big part of. Which brings me to the second part of this, and this kind of changes the dynamic. Would you prefer to sign Alex Bregman? Because Alex Bregman does not cost you Jet Williams. He does not cost you Brandon Sproat. He's not as good as Ketel Marte. But I also don't think Bregman's even going to get a contract, Joe, that would surpass Marte's current contract.
So I think it depends how you look at it, right? Like, I think Alex Bregman's going to get significantly more money per year than Ketel Marte is getting. I think Marte isn't his contract like just under $20 million a year
the
or something
AAV
in that neighborhood?
Is weak, but I'm talking about the term, no. But for sure.
And the term probably, like, how different will it be? Like, is Bregman's looking at what, maybe a 4-year deal? 5 at the most, something like that, and without the qualifying offer?
Probably almost the same. It could be a little less.
Yeah, but more per year. And Marte's a way better player, and I have to shift Brett Beatty to second base, at least temporarily. Like,
that's fair.
Give me Marte over Bregman, and I'll deal with the fact that I have to replace.
Look at you giving away the top prospects, and me not.
It has to happen at some point, and
yeah, you're right.
I don't mind switching roles with you every once in a while. But Jet is a guy that, look, I'm a huge fan of. Everyone knows how big of a fan I am of Jet Williams, and I think he's a future everyday, really good second baseman that would make an impact on the Mets. But as you said, Ketel Marte makes a major impact on the Mets right now. And if Pete Alonso does go, Ketel Marte is closer, I think, to the type of bat that you could talk yourself into being the quote-unquote Pete replacement rather than Bregman, who I think is still a good hitter, but you're not feeling awesome if Alex Bregman's hitting behind Juan Soto as his protection. It's just Bregman's a good hitter. Marte is a special hitter.
Right. No, that's a really fair way to put it. And this is the kind of stuff that, like, it's once again, until it gets reported, you Ketel Marte could be out there. That's kind of harder to project because this is the kind of move, not necessarily this one, but a trade of this capacity is something that is going to have to be on the table for Stearns, the creativity.